Peace and blessings. This is Raisa Kiwala, the divorced Muslima coach. And today's episode is up from a verse in the Quran, chapter 3, verse 173. And it says, Allah is fully sufficient for us and the best disposer of our affairs. And I know we've all heard this before as well. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. And and just to put a little bit of context into this, this was the situation when Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was being thrown in the fire. This was his response. This was also the response of the believers when they were in a war and they were being told by hypocrites, oh well, that's it, you're doomed, people are here, you're going to be crushed, and you better start fearing them. And this is the response that they gave, right? And it's really inspiring. And it's also one of my favorite verses from the Quran. I have so many because I was taught this dua as a child, and it really fortified my belief that no matter my situation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would find a way out for me. And I just had to leave the matter with Him to solve it for me, and know, like, I guess that a conviction was instilled within me very early on, that I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew that He would come through. And I think it taught me a lot of so many important things. And how I was taught this is that every time we lost something and we couldn't find it, my parents taught us to read this dua, and that we would find it, right? So they instill that trust, they instill that belief, they instill that faith that it will show up and you will find it. And usually it's right away, but there have been times where it hasn't been when I wanted or when we wanted it, but it did show up eventually, right? And then we had to trust that it was on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timeline in accordance to His divine wisdom. So, and I have had many experiences with this. It has stayed with me my whole life. That's something that I have trusted in and relied on, and has never, ever, ever failed me. In fact, I'm just going to share a few things that I had lost a sapphire and diamond ring in an airplane restroom, and someone found it and gave it back to me. Like they turned it in. I had lost 2 diamond rings in the parking lot of a store where I was working at, a drugstore, and in not the greatest of neighborhoods. And it was Ramadan actually when I lost it. And I was content whether I found it or whether I didn't. But subhanAllah, it was returned back to me by someone, and yes, it was returned back to me by someone, and the people are the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to facilitate his will. And so even if you're not understanding, and even if you're feeling really confused on the how and what's going on, just surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr, will and plan. You will start to realize that you don't even need to understand it as long as you accept it, right? Because it's coming from Allah, who wants what's best for you, and you're trusting that His plan is the best of all plans. And it also helps to up-level your tawakkul, and no matter what situation you're going through, your reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember, when the fears and the doubts, they creep in, that where it's coming from. And we talked about this in previous videos, that it's actually coming from shaitan whispering those, and magnifying those thoughts of fear and those thoughts of doubt, right? And it also can show up with people, saying, what if, or, oh, you'll never find it, or, oh, you shouldn't have done this. I've had people say to me, oh, you shouldn't have been fasting, and you wouldn't have been so absent-minded, and you would have been able to focus more, and you wouldn't have dropped, your rings. I've had, people's comments can come across that way, and we can start buying into them and believing them as well. And that, we don't have to buy into that and believe into that, right? And we don't have to buy into people's opinions or fear-mongering. By remembering that it is Allah's plan that is always prevails. So having this trust, and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the way to navigate through, hardships, especially a big hardship like divorce, which is a life-altering change, right? With that level of trust and reliance and surrender. So many people struggle to accept their divorce, to struggle to accept even the betrayal and the hurt and the pain that comes along with broken marriages. And it comes back to the other verse that I keep connecting to, that verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. This can be difficult to remember in these times and this stressful situation. So that's why I'm running a masterclass on May 28th titled The D Word. Why is divorce such a dirty word? And what gets in the way of navigating divorce with taqwa and tawakkul and acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr and peace, no matter your situation. So sign up with the link below to get all of the details and reserve your spot, where we're going to debunk all of these myths that get in the way of our peace. And I hope this was helpful, and if you found that it was, please like it, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And inshallah, I will see you all soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.